my frustration lies when you're around somebody who isn't resilient, but they feel some type of way when you're progressing.
Yes. Oh,
that frustrates me, because it's like, you could have what you want as well. You're just not pushing
yourself.
Yeah. Don't compare yourself to me when you're not resilient. And I think that, you know, some people might say, oh, it's luck, it's this, it's whatever. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But I know the times I've knuckled down and made sure that I showed up.
Absolutely.
And that's why this is happening for me.
Yeah, speak on it. It is very true.
Yeah, I think that's my gripe with people who are not
and
resilient.
I think I've been that person one or two times, or several. Maybe some people might say, Novella, you're like that all the time, actually. Where it's just like, you know, I've looked at people and I'm like, oh, like, you've done this, that, and the other and stuff. And then I've had to check myself, like, how are you expected to be at the same level as them when you've done absolutely nothing?
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Advice with Alex and Friends, the podcast. I'm your host Alex, and I'm joined by my beautiful co-host Novella.
Hi guys.
And this episode is all about building resilience. So before we get into today's episode, make sure of course you are subscribed if you haven't been already. It's been 12 episodes. And some of you have been here longer than that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you really need to be subscribing, okay? And you can follow us at Advice with Alex on Instagram and at Advice with Alex and Friends on TikTok. So we will get into our segment or our episode today about resilience. I think it's a really good thing, a really big thing, because I think like, oh my gosh, there are certain things I've gone through that would have broken the average person, and here I am.
Yeah. Continuing
through. And one of the things that I said I was going to do this year was follow the 12-week year. So it's a book, I can't remember who it's by, but it basically gets you to condense what you would do within a year, within 12 weeks, and you have 4 12-week years. 4 12-week stints within the year.
Okay.
Right? And so for me, I was like, I will have 3 of those 12 weeks, and then the latter bit of the year, I'm just gonna rest, right?
Yeah.
And so my first 12-week stint, I just found at about like 8-9 weeks in, I was really tired. And that's because if you went 8-9 months without a day off, you would be exhausted.
Yeah.
And so I was exhausted. I was just like, oh my gosh, because even my weekends, I didn't have them off. I still was very much focused on my goals. And of course, I'm not complaining. I'm really, really grateful for everything. It's just been one of those things where it's like, I need to push through. I need to push through. And, you know, moving forward when executing that, factoring in just some days off to just rest, recharge, and then we go again, because that's what you would do normally within the year. And I had to think about like, where does my resilience come from? And I think I have to give credit to my parents. Like those are the first people that ever taught me to be resilient in the way in which they are, and in the way in which they were tough on me. Now, you know, I don't always agree with all of the methods,
of course,
but I am grateful for the outcome.
Yeah. And
that's just who I am. Like, just resilient, just push through. We'll get through it, and can maneuver through something that feels really uncomfortable, because on the other side of that discomfort is change. That's going to be, I know, for the better.
Yeah. I think for me personally, I struggle with talking about resilience, because I don't quite know how resilient I actually am. I feel like in certain situations and certain scenarios, I am probably more resilient at work than I probably am in my personal life.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's because you feel like at work. Oh, it's a good question. I'm asking myself that same question actually, as to why do I feel like I'm more resilient at work. I wonder it's because I don't know if I'm constantly out there thinking that I've got a point to prove, which constantly pushes me.
Okay.
Whereas probably in my personal life, I'm like, I haven't got a point to prove to anybody. I don't care. But I don't know if that's, I don't know if that comes from, constantly trying to prove people wrong. I don't know where that's come from. I don't know if that's built in my head. I don't know. I felt like I had to become resilient because I worked in a place which tried to break me. They really, really nearly did try and break me. Like, I was quite young. I just started out in my career, and the manager and like the team, it was just really, really toxic. And I don't know, even through all of that, like, I was just like, you're gonna try, but you're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. Especially when, I don't know, at work, the dynamics is just different. I'm just like, I don't know you like that. I'm so sorry. So, so I don't know if for me and for that job and like going forward, I don't know. I feel like that has made me like really, really resilient. And I can go through really, really tough times at work and come through it.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like if some of those things happened in my personal life, I don't know. I'll take an example of the pandemic. Working through the pandemic at work was actually fine for me. Like, I felt like, I changed as a person. Working through the pandemic personally in like thingy, that was a challenge. That was a real challenge. And I don't know if that's because, and you could argue that maybe work saps up all my resilience that at home I don't have.
Maybe you're like, I don't have any more resilience left to give.
Like, I've built all of that up at work. So I don't know. It's interesting. You could really, really delve into it and kind of see it from different angles.
Yeah, no, that is a great point that you made, because sometimes we very much live in this culture where it's like, you need to have a side hustles on top of your 9 to 5, right?
Yeah.
If your 9 to 5 is consuming you so much to the point where you don't have anything else to give anywhere else, then it does make it really difficult. And I know that, there was a couple of years ago when I really wanted to work on some things, but I just couldn't, because my mind just wasn't there yet. I wasn't in a place where I felt comfortable, where I felt like I was relaxed in my role, whereas now I do. So, I'm able to like dedicate time towards that. But you're so right. And I think for me, I have to give my partner props in terms of like, he's one of the most resilient people that I know. Like, if he's got a goal, he has to execute it, right? It doesn't matter. He will make whatever sacrifice he needs to do in order to achieve that. And so for me, I'm like, I am resilient, and I think for me there are some points where I'm like, I can't kill myself. Not today. But he will keep going.
No matter what.
And so it's kind of like, okay, do you know what? I think there were certain times where I know I'm going to get to my destination anyway, regardless. But sometimes you need to accelerate that. And accelerating only can sometimes happen when you're all the way locked in, you're all the way focused. And so that's what I did, from December to February of this year, in terms of like, I'm not going out, I'm not, I'm not available. I'm hibernating, do not disturb, all of that stuff, and locked in. And that really paid off for me so much and really has set me up for the rest of this year. And I'm really grateful for that. So there is an element of for me, seeing resilience in my personal endeavors, because I know ultimately it's going to pay off. And you can just apply that anywhere. Resilience in terms of your health and fitness, resilience in terms of your career, resilience in terms of being the best version of yourself, in terms of your mental health, and like, your professional development and your personal development as well, and all that kind of thing. And I think resilience can show up in any given area of your life. And it's about like, I know that if I push through this, then I'm going to be a better version of myself. And I think that's kind of like the motivator for me. If I can push through at work, then I should be able to push through at home or like personally, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah.
think that's my big thing. So do you feel like if you had like let's say for example you had a sabbatical from work, do you feel like that would help you to focus on things personally?
Yeah, a lot more. I think so. I think you're right. I think sometimes, because, you know, if we're being honest, right, work is probably the place you spend the majority of your time. So it makes sense that most of your probably your resilience is kind of sapped in through there. So you're right. So that's why it's great when I've got something big that's going on personally, like I have to step away from work to give myself that grace to be able to kind of focus and make sure all my energy is being poured out there. Because sometimes by the time the work day ends, I'm just like, I don't even have time to deal with this right now. I just don't even have the energy for that. But if you would have caught me at 10 o'clock on that meeting, I would have been giving it large. But, you know, after the hours of 6 o'clock, I'm just like, no, I need time to recoup, because we go again. We go again tomorrow, basically.
Yeah. I think it's really a big point, because there are people, for example, who want to make a change in their life. Say, for example, a career change, right? But it takes resilience in order to do that. And if you don't have that resilience to do that, in terms of to continue in your current reality and push through until you get to, like, you know, your target state, right? If you don't have that, then you're never going to change. And I know that for me, there have been points where, you know, I've said to people, you would be great as this, or this would be great for you, or like you kind of, maybe they start a business or start whatever, and they don't see it all the way through. And you're like, I'm like, I don't know about you, but I get frustrated on people's behalf. I'm like, I know that this person would be so great on this, but it's like having that resilience to be able to. And I know sometimes in certain seasons, you just don't have it to give. You don't. Right, but when you do have it to give, do the best that you can to push through. And I think maybe I'm coming from a place of privilege, because resilience is like something that comes more natural to me. And for some people they may not feel that, but I think one of the best ways to build your resilience is through exposure and experience. So putting yourself in situations that do feel uncomfortable, and you have to push through it in order to get through that. You could even start, for example, in the gym, right? You might hate running, so you might run for like a minute today, and you're like, oh, I hate that, get off the get off the treadmill, right? And then the next day you might do 1 minute and 30 seconds, and you're kind of pushing through, you're being resilient, you're saying, hey. And I think that's what you can apply to anything, just doing a bit every single day. So you know what, today I applied for 1 job, okay, cool. Tomorrow I'm gonna apply for 2
jobs. You're right.
Yeah.
You should be constantly challenging yourself to build up your resilience, which is true. And you, like you mentioned, you can do that in various ways, and you've got to be in the right frame of mind sometimes. When, you know, for instance, certain things aren't working out, and you're wondering, why is this not working out? Like, even when I think back just some of the things that hadn't worked out, I was thinking, why is it not? And now when we think about it, it's just like, was I resilient enough at the time to deal with something like that? And sometimes God is protecting us from that, and He's just like, don't worry, not right now, but I'm building you up, like, to the point where then when things do come at you, like 7 things at one time, right, you're able to kind of just deal with that and look back at that and be like, wow, 2 years ago maybe I probably wouldn't have been able to, or wasn't in the right frame of mind. But now when I look at it, it's just like, actually, that time that I was there getting anxious and worrying, I didn't realise that that's what I was doing, maybe quietly, was building up my resilience, that when it came, I was going to grab it with 2 hands, not complain, and just get on with it and smash it.
Yeah, because you get your house transition it's been seamless. Wow. You didn't
Much better
complain.
than wedding planning.
You didn't complain
Yes.
about anything. No. When I tell you Novella was ready, Novella was ready. Like,
God really built that resilience up.
Yeah, no, because there's lots of people that when they get when they move, it's like stressful and nothing.
Nope.
Not a single thing. Like, you couldn't even tell that she had just moved home. Like, yeah, you did that really, really well. And you're right. That season of waiting was preparing you for this moment, so that when it was go time, because go time happened quite quickly, right?
Yeah.
You were ready.
Happened on a very special day.
Yeah.
It was a very special day. We'll never forget that day of completion. It was a very, very special day. I always said that's the most memorable day for that completion day. I was just like, I'll never ever forget that in my life.
No, it is one of those things where, like, I guess you get those moments where you've been praying to God for something, and you're waiting, right? Yeah. And then it happens, and you get, I don't know, there's like a connection of dots, and you're just like, I know this has you written all over it. Do you know what I mean? So there is that aspect of things, but like your that process for you was you executed so beautifully, honestly, like up and running, and
there was no delays. It was all just fell into place, and we were just on it. Mm-hmm. We were seriously on it. So we did a lot for the time frame.
How do you manage being around people who aren't as resilient as you?
I have to be honest. I don't want to be around you. I have to be it frustrates me. Like, and like I said, it's not comparison in a sense where it's just like not as resilient as me, but maybe no resilience at all. That's the extreme I'm talking about, where I'm like, that is really, really frustrating. Because it can be a little bit like draining, because you're there trying to be a cheerleader for them, and it's just like, you know what, you just need to pick yourself up and just kind of just get on with it, because there can be long-term effects around that. So for me personally, I've got people. I'm trying to think if I have. I don't feel like I have. But I think for me personally, I think I've got to be like I've got to be like 100. Like it would just be really annoying. I can't like being around that person. Yeah, because you know what would happen is that I would then want to take on some of their burden and help them, and then it could possibly, I don't know, it could have a knock-on effect, but I would want to, do something to kind of help and support them and be like, okay, what can we do? Like, and I would want to, and then what tends to happen, I think I've been in scenarios with that, where it's just like, you try and help and support them, and then they're just chilling, and then I'm getting frustrated because I'm just like, well, I'm supporting you, I'm doing all of those things, and you're just, so you clearly don't want it or need it or whatever as much as you say you do.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. That's why I asked that question. Like, how do you manage being around people who don't have that resilience at all? I think for me, it's my frustration lies when you're around somebody who isn't resilient, but they feel some type of way when you're progressing.
Yes. Oh,
that frustrates me, because it's like, you could have what you want as well. You're just not pushing
yourself.
Yeah. Don't compare yourself to me when you're not resilient. And I think that, some people might say, oh, it's luck, it's this, it's whatever. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But I know the times I've knuckled down and made sure that I showed up.
Absolutely.
And that's why this is happening for me.
Speak on it. It is very true.
Yeah, I think that's my gripe with people who are not
and
resilient.
I think I've been that person one or two times, or several. Maybe some other people might say, Novella, you're like that all the time, actually. Where it's just like, I've looked at people and I'm like, oh, like, you've done this, that, and the other and stuff. And then I've had to check myself, like, how are you expected to be at the same level as them when you've done absolutely nothing? But you're right, you know, so I can definitely check myself, and I probably have been that person where it's just been like, well, I think that I should, and I, and all of that. And it's just like, okay, what have you, I know I definitely went through that around wedding planning when I was looking at other people that would absolutely excel in their wedding plans and stuff, and I'm looking at them like, you know, and you know, my partner checked me and was just like, yeah, but then you just, every time you want to hide, you don't want to do it. Like, they send you emails, you don't reply. Like, so of course, because they're on it, because it's something maybe that they're really passionate about, or it's something that they enjoy doing. But he was just like, you know, but let the solicitors email. You email back in like less than 3 to 5 seconds because you really wanted it. You know what I mean? Whereas with other people, so it's just like, it's funny because I've definitely been there where it's just like, I haven't been resilient at all during the wedding planning thing. But I've been looking at people sideways, like, how have you excelled so much in that? But obviously knowing I haven't put in the work. And
I think, and that's so, you know, that's shout out to you and your self-awareness for you to be able to say, hey, there's been times where I've looked at somebody, and I think we've all done it because we're human beings, right? And there might even be you know, this comparison thing that we do just because we're human beings. But I think it can be quite frustrating when you deal with somebody who doesn't have that self-awareness and isn't resilient. And it's like, well, just, you know, they're kind of just complaining, basically. Just complaining. That's all that they're doing. They're not making any active effort. It's not like, oh, they're seeing you and like, they're like, okay, you know what, I'm going to take notes. None of that.
None of that at all. None of that at all. Is there any resilience tips that you've learned over the years?
For me, number one, I have to say, like, my faith. With my faith, I'm always reminded that, like, it's bigger than me, right? So whatever I'm going through at the moment, it's in the grand scheme of things, we're on a floating rock in the middle of like this massive universe.
Yes.
So some of the things that we stress ourselves about, it's really not that serious. It's really not that deep. So yeah, like, I think always remembering that there's things that are like bigger than me. I think number two, in terms of resilience, I know that it's never failed me before. It hasn't failed me before. Every time I've pushed through and I've gone on the other side, I've benefited from it.
Absolutely.
In any single way, shape or form in my life. So why would I stop that now? Like, I know it feels uncomfortable. It's not nice, but it's kind of like, you know, the caterpillar into the butterfly scenario, right? This cocoon period, I'm sure it's a bit like tight and whatever, especially when they're starting to get, you know, the wings. But when they come out on the other side, oh my gosh, it's this other thing. So yeah, sometimes you need that. I think for me, it's a lot of mindset stuff that helps me. I think, and having good practices. So breaking something down. Sometimes resilience can feel overwhelming when you don't really have a roadmap. So when I break down my goals, for example, the 12-week year, I took, you know, first and foremost, I didn't overwhelm myself with the number of goals I had. I had like
amazing.
4, and there was a 5th one that got sprinkled on, which I wasn't expecting, but you know, thank you. The more the merrier. And just thinking about what I was going to do each week and reflecting on what I was going to do each week, and that helped me. And I think it helps when you don't focus on tracking your progress. There are some things you can track your progress on day by day, but for me, I don't always track my progress. So say, for example, with weight, right? If you step on the scales every single day, you're going to get fluctuation. You'll be like, oh, but I was so good today. Why did the scale go up? And it could just be water weight, right? But if you maybe weighed yourself once a week or once every 2 weeks, you would, or if you took progress pictures and you compared yourself weekly or whatever, that kind of thing, then you would see, hey, actually, I've made lots of progress. So yeah, I think it's a lot of mindset shift things for me. And you're right. I think the art of writing things down, which helps, you know, being able to reflect back, because at that time, like, I love the example that you gave around kind of exercise, around like exercise, right, or losing weight.
you know, the scales might not show it, but your pictures may, or your measurements may. So sometimes it shows up in different forms. So there might be a thing that you're constantly looking and waiting, and you know, there's something over there that probably you need to pay attention to. It's just like, no, you're making moves, you know. You know, just remember those small little things. The small ones add up to the bigger.
They do.
The bigger things.
They do. I think also as well for me, like resilience at work has always paid off. I know that there have been times where I've really had to endure, right? And then I look back and I'm in a scenario and I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much that I was actually in that scenario, because it's helping me to flourish and thrive now. Yeah. Especially like working, there's definitely been scenarios for me where it's like working under pressure, working to tight deadlines, and it's like I know the person I am. I can't show up on the day and be like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't do it. I can't.
Yeah.
It's not in me.
No.
I have to deliver. I have to deliver something.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I don't want to look silly.
No.
And I'm so glad that I have that for me.
No. No one's going to make me look silly and be like, oh, did you not do? No. We're not going to do that. Even if I if I can't sleep that night, it will be delivered. Yeah. There's no way. You would not make a mockery of me.
Yeah. Yeah. So before we go into, you know, advice for not advice, but what we're doing today to make our future selves proud, we have come to the end of this season. It's been 12 episodes. So there's been a lot of like 12 weeks. So it's been 12 weeks. And this season, I think, has been really great. I've really enjoyed this season because we've been really intentional about the season and really honed in on our strengths in terms of, you know, speaking about career stuff, especially with you having like an extensive HR background and me making my, you know, career transition and sharing that experience online. So we are going to have a hibernation period where we, you know, brainstorm, and we would love to hear what you guys want to see again for next season before we come back and incorporate that as much as we possibly can. I think we do enjoy what we're doing, but we're as being pivot queens. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
And making sure we're doing what aligns with our values at any given time. Next season might be, you know, something we talk different. About something completely different. Absolutely. But we definitely are open to feedback if there are particular things that you think that we should dive into, or topics that you want to stay for next season. So we're looking forward to hearing back from you, either in the comment section or online as well. I'll probably put up some polls and just see like what you guys think as well.
I want to hear from.
Yeah, I want to hear from you guys. Like this is very much a community. That's why we pose these questions, and look forward to getting comments from you and any feedback that we have from you guys as well. Yeah,
it's been nice. It's been nice to do it this way. I think it makes things a lot more intentional. It feels really, really focused, and then like Alex said, it just gives us time after we do that, you know, to kind of look back. Right around as well, the feedback that you guys have left, look back at the episodes that we've done, and we're always on a journey of self-improvement. We're very, very heavy on that. Not everything is perfect all the time, so you know, being able to just take that time out to kind of look back, review, and then come back again. I feel like every season or series we come back with will always be bigger and better than the last, because we've learned like constantly. Even if we're out for a couple of weeks, we're growing, we're developing, we're you know, getting ourselves, like we've just said, right, around kind of pouring our cup until it's empty. We need to go back and kind of fill it up a little bit more, and so we can you know come back different. And I feel like it's nice. It's like an element of surprise, because you don't know what might be coming in the next season. Anything could happen.
Honestly, anything can happen. But even us focusing on career, I feel like that really came from TikTok as well. Like in terms of, okay, this is what the people want.
This is what the people want. Give the people what they want.
Give the people what they want. So that's what we wanted to do. So we want to know if that's something, you know, that you guys want, and also incorporating it and making sure it aligns with us and what we want to talk about as well. So I've really enjoyed the season. What's something that we've spoken about, or what's been a highlight from this season so far?
Oh, I think definitely really being open and honest around kind of wedding planning. That's been a highlight for me. It's been like therapy. I love it. Any opportunity that I can just talk about it and get it off my chest, I love it. It's been really nice as well to focus a lot around careers as well too, because like Alex mentioned, you know, she's had such great feedback and has really done such amazing job in the space of kind of talking about career changing, and coming from a HR background as well, just being able to kind of tap into those sorts of things. And it's been nice to actually really speak about careers, and all things career. So yeah, I've really enjoyed that. How about you?
I think the fact that we're back, that we were back, made me really happy.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed our photo shoot as well. Gosh. I think that was so much fun, and I think it was like, you know, we're coming back. It was like really exciting. It was really exciting. And again, I'm just grateful that the direction came from, you know, hopping on TikTok was, you know, the whole point of it was to grow the platform for the podcast. We knew we were going to come back. Yeah. And I didn't know at the time that
it was going to develop
into something else, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really grateful for that. And so getting to speak long, you know, in the long form format, I should say, online, on YouTube, and obviously like uploading these videos on Spotify and so on and so forth. Like, it's really great to just be able to delve deeper with somebody who, you know, I always say I'm so grateful that Novella agreed to be my co-host a couple of years ago. I wasn't sure if she'd say yes, and I wasn't sure if she would come back, but she has, and I'm so grateful for it. And just grateful for where we're going to go with this podcast. Like, really grateful in terms of enjoying this journey and everything that's happened so far. So.
And the people behind the scenes
too. And the people behind the scenes too.
Got great people behind the scenes.
We really do.
That tell us, you know, whether someone shouldn't be wearing a turtleneck or the direction.
Yeah. Are you giving enough energy?
Are you giving enough energy? Like, we are so open for the people that check us. They do an amazing job, and we adore them.
Yeah, 100%. So let us know in the comments, like, what's been your favourite episode in this season? What did you think of this season? And what are you looking forward to next season as well? On top of that, let us know how you managed to stay resilient. And of course, if there's somebody that you think is lacking in the resilience department, send them this episode. So for the last time this season, what's something that you're doing today to make sure that, you know, the future version of you stays on top of
Not giving up. Definitely not giving up. That should be my mantra. Just not giving up. You know, for my future self, I might not see it now. I might not see it this year, and I might not even see it next year, but it will turn up. So just when you've got a goal, setting out for it, and just never giving up through whatever obstacles might happen. Just keep the faith in everything that you do. To be fair, keep the faith. You know your heart, you know your goals, you know where you want to go, and just don't give up. It will honestly, it will pay off.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, in terms of what I'm doing today to make sure I stay on top of, you know, my resilience and continue to make the future version of myself proud, the biggest thing I'd say in terms of resilience is being grateful that I'm being put in a position that I know at the end of it I will be a better version of myself. That in itself is an amazing thing. Like, I could stay the same, right? And I'd like to think I'm a pretty amazing person.
Oh my God, pretty.
And
you are.
But there's so much more I have to offer.
Yeah, in this world.
And with every opportunity that you know, presents itself, there is an opportunity to continue to grow and expand and share. I think that there's a beauty in sharing your experiences, right? When you go through something, you don't necessarily understand why you're going through it, but when you overcome it, I think it's important to share your good news, to share your testimonies, and that's something that I enjoy doing and will continue to do for as long as I possibly can on this platform and beyond, in real life, of course, as well. So yeah, I love that.
Amazing.
guys, on that note, for the last time, I'm really sad. We're coming to the end. Yeah, this season, not forever, of course. We'll be back, and we'll keep you up to date on social media as well as to our return. But before we return, please make sure that you share with us what you want to see in our next season. So on that note, for the last time, make sure you are following us at Advice with Alex on Instagram and at Advice with Alex on and Friends on TikTok. And we shall see you very, very soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye.